you're switching your internal confidence mechanism to your business, to external, to other people, and you're sourcing it directly from inside you. And what you're saying to yourself is you're saying, I don't need anybody. I'm here to support everybody, but that's because I've supported myself first.
The military taught us discipline, it taught us leadership, but it never taught us how to really build wealth and income. This is the Active Duty Passive Income Podcast, and I'm your host, Mark-Ian Sitch, a United States Marine turned full-time real estate investor and educator. I'm bringing you the most successful military, veteran, and military spouse real estate investors, entrepreneurs, and industry experts to break down exactly how they did it, so you can too.
All right, ADPI. Here we are with a repeat guest that I think, well, from what me and him have been talking about already before I hit the go button, sounds like made a massive impact on you all because his phone started blowing up. And so I'm really excited to bring on Austin Linney. I remember when Kevin interviewed you, Austin, he couldn't stop talking about you. So I'm just very excited to have you on. But I want to pretend that this is your first time. Mm-hmm. Although, maybe remind those that have heard about you. I guarantee anybody that has listened to our previous podcast with Austin, we're going to bring some more exciting, fruitful conversation, debate, and stories than you probably haven't heard on the first one. So we're going to make sure that this is fresh, but also we're going to pretend this is the first time. So welcome, Austin.
Thank you. And I just want to, and I told you I would share it in the beginning.
I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
No. I've done like 1,200 podcasts in the last 5 years, 900 of my own. And the amount of texts I got, messages from doing the first one, is absolutely amazing. What an engaged community. What an amazing group of people. Just so nice, so cordial, saying thank you, giving them the Airbnb stuff. Life is constantly changing, to refresh anybody. As of today, I think I'm 6 years and 60 days sober from alcohol.
Wow.
And then in my previous, in my 20s, I was addicted to meth and cocaine. So I beat that too, right? And then I was briefly homeless. I lost 75 pounds. I've got divorced. I started a podcast. I've lost tons of money. I got out of real estate 2.5 years ago. Still love it. Still understand it. But that's where I cut my teeth, large-scale Airbnb. And now we're in businesses and I do small business consulting and mindset coaching. So there's a lot there. That's kind of the quick kind of, thing, but through that whole thing, you asked me what inspires me. And I think that I fashion myself as a protector of people's dreams. And what I mean by that is
okay.
What I mean by that is so many people are told, because I'm one of them, okay? I was in so much trouble in school. I got kicked out of 3 kindergartens. I don't even know how that's possible. Okay. Then
that's
I
awesome.
I dropped out of college 3 times, and everything that they were upset with me about, sit down, be quiet, just learn the curriculum. Was all things they champion me for now. Network with everybody, talk to everybody, have an opinion. It's just, and so many people want to start a podcast. So many people want to start a business. So many people want to leave their W-2. So many people want to leave the relationship that's not serving them anymore. And they say, well, I can't because of this, or what is my parents going to think? Or what is my brother or my friend? And I'm here to tell you.
I know.
I'm here to tell you, they don't care. First of all, you think they care.
That was a huge revelation for me. Yeah.
No, you care. And your subconscious is holding you in this makeshift prison that you've created for yourself.
Oh my gosh. I hear you. I think even one of my all-time favorites, Alex Hormozy, talks about people just don't care as much as you think. And he's not the first one to say it. You're not the first one to say it. It's a tale as old as time. It's a truism, but it's hard because I don't know, growing up in the system where you're constantly graded on everything and judged on everything and, have to fit a cookie cutter mold, but somehow at the same time asked to be, independently thinking. And it's just such a dichotomy. It's such a schizophrenic world almost. So, wow, I feel like we're going to talk about some really cool stuff. first of all, and this is probably not where you're going to ask me or think I was going to ask you, like, let's just start off with a little bit of the darkest times, if you don't mind, because that to me is where we're probably going to uncover some nuggets, right? Some gems, because I've gone to, I have this issue where, and I don't know, maybe it's good. I really try to like not show people what's actually like how bad things really are, mostly because as a leader in like, our company ADPI or in my real estate investments and so on and so forth, the first impression or every impression and just not rocking the boat and making sure everybody feels confident. It's almost like confidence keeps the machine running, so you cannot let your confidence down. You have to keep projecting.
But all you're really doing right there is you're making your subconscious feel comfortable because you're not actually that confident.
Okay. So unpack that.
So you're projecting a thing, right? So that you can feel in control of the thoughts and things. And then you're layering on the expectations that you feel like other people are seeing you. So now you've created this kind of like vicious cycle of like false confidence. And basically I'm guilty of it because they called me the rhino, right? And so like you come in and you're loud and you're confident, but that's only unless somebody can see through the BS who's been trained or seen it a million times. And as soon as they catch you, you're like, oh, you keep rolling. They call me the steamroller in my 20s.
So I'm not pushing back, but I want to really dig into this. Let's figure this out. Okay,
you're good.
So what's the difference in your opinion between? Because I'm a confidence junkie.
Sure.
At least that's what I consider myself. Like, there's two superpowers I feel like in business and in relationships. It's confidence and leverage. Yep. And when I marry those together, that's like my secret formula. And so
killing it.
at ADPI, at our last conference, ADPI Con, my opening talk was about confidence building and all these elements that like, I don't want to watch a YouTube video and learn how to do something. I want to like, okay, what's the actual engine that makes me succeed? To me, it's like the using leverage and confidence. Anyway, but you said something very important. You said false confidence. So what's the difference in your mind between confidence and false confidence? Is there a difference?
So anytime I get a client or a business that we're helping, one of the core pillars they're looking for is confidence, right? And they're looking for a confirmation of things they believe to be true in their head, right? They're saying, I have these ideas, but I don't know if they're real. I don't know if I'm on the right track. Give me the confidence. That's a confirmation. You're just saying, okay, yes, you're on the right track. Keep on walking. But I could know nothing about your business, and I could just say that to you, and that would springboard you on to another 10 million. But I know nothing. I'm just giving you the answer that you're saying, right? And so one of the tricks I did. This is a true story. I learned it from a podcast. This gentleman named Dr. Mike Bayer I created two different characters. So in my 20s. They call myself the Tasmanian devil. So I was everywhere and anywhere. I was networking. I had, just loads of confidence, but I was all over the place. And so he said, what are the qualities of that you want to remove? Right. And I said, so these are the things I want to remove. So I created a new character, and that was Clint Eastwood. And Clint Eastwood with the poncho and the hat and the cigar hanging out of his mouth. And he didn't rush anywhere. People came to him, and so I just started telling myself when I walked in a room, Clint Eastwood. And then over time, because what you're basically doing, right? And this has been the constant journey I've been on for the last, 7-8 years. You're switching your internal confidence mechanism to your business, to external, to other people. And you're sourcing it directly from inside you. And what you're saying to yourself is you're saying, I don't need anybody. I'm here to support everybody. But that's because I've supported myself first, right? And so this is the thing, like, this is the new thing, right? Where they say, how do you feel about fake it till you make it, right? Okay. Like, that's the new thing that everybody's talking about. Well, here's a true story. This is real. I don't do it anymore, but I used to, especially when I started getting sober. I would introduce myself to people at events, Hi, I'm a former drug addict, alcoholic, divorced. Nice to meet you. My name's Austin. Like, and and what it did is it gave them the confidence to share their story instead
Oh
of
my
hiding
God,
it
you broke your
anymore.
guard down, right? Like you
Yes,
just
yeah.
vulnerable immediately. Like
Yeah.
just
And so they would share their thing. And this is a
Yeah.
true story. The business we bought, I did not know I was going to introduce myself to the staff that day. I didn't know it. Like literally it got sprung on me and I was wanting to vomit. And I was like, what do I do? 30 men that have never met me before in an HVAC plumbing business. And that's how I introduced myself. Hi, I'm divorced. I'm sober. I used to be a drug addict and I was homeless. Nice to meet you. I'm the new owner. And I was like, oh my God, that was so stupid. And then 6 guys came up after me afterwards, go, oh, we're all sober too. Thank you so much.
holy cow. That's awesome. I'm like writing notes because I need to not forget to mention things. Like, okay, hold up. Like, all right. Okay. So let's unpack this. I like what you said about the Clint Eastwood thing. And because I guess I archetype or I have idioms and analogies for some of these things too, but they're different. And so when I hear you and I start learning about what you really mean by the Clint Eastwood thing, I'm like, oh, I have a similar thing. And so I talk about that as and maybe it's not completely the same, but I think there's some overlap. I talk about being the big fish in the little pond.
Yes.
So right now, and that comes from Malcolm Gladwell, and I'm obsessed with a lot of his books. Learned a lot from his books. I'm constantly trying to deconstruct what makes somebody legitimately more confident. And
like here's a
yeah,
perfect
go ahead.
example of a thing that I used to do. It took me many masterminds and a lot of very thoughtful men in my life because I didn't speak to my father for almost 16 years. Okay. So I did everything on my own from 17 on, buy a house, get married, all that stuff. Okay. I realized that I was meeting men and I'm being so vulnerable right now because I don't know if I've ever shared this. I'm meeting men in my life in real estate. This is when I got started and you're meeting all these people and you're starting a podcast. And I'm putting these men that I believe to be better than me up on false pedestals. And then they're breaking expectations that they didn't know were on them. And I'm being upset in my life. And the moment that I stopped putting people up on pedestals and I started putting myself up on that pedestal and I started worrying about my internal stuff, my confidence started building. But on the back of that, it was the gym. That was my anchor. When I was getting sober, so I started losing some weight and then you start feeling better and then you start putting yourself first. And it's like this stacking of these like different modalities and different like mindset keys. Yeah. Because I call it mind hacking. You really have to like circumvent this like lunatic that's like inside your head, like Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. Like you can't like get through a chapter and like not think about it for a week because he's like,
I have problems with that with most books I read right now. I read 3 pages and I have to put it down. I'm like, I can't, it's too much.
Yeah.
Like I need to think about this.
He's like, if you listen to the lunatic in your head, he goes, you would never listen to that person ever. Like this book is life changing, you know, it's like The Gap in the Gain, you know, by Benjamin Hardy. He's like, it changed my relationship with my dad, the entire book. Like that book is the reason we talk every day now. Yeah.
Wow. So, okay, we're going to touch on some transformative books here in a second. We're going 1,000 miles per hour. Chill out, Austin.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Okay, so back to Big Fish in Little Pond. Back to, something I learned. I think there's an analogy here purely on the business side of things is, and it's so simple. It's crazy. It's like the obstacle is the way. It's like as soon as I started thinking the thing that either ADPI was not super great at yet, or that I wasn't super great at yet, and I decided, and we would make the mistake of letting somebody like outsourcing that, or letting somebody else do that. And then we had those expectations and then they weren't met. And then you're like, well, do I blame them? Do I blame myself? Like what, and you spiral. As soon as we started saying, no, we're going to do it. Or it actually built our confidence up so much to where then we knew what to expect and we were able to form better relationships later and have accountable relationships to where we could trust somebody else doing something for us. But first it had to be us. Like we had to figure it out on our own. I had to figure out how to like, even though I'm not an underwriter, I that's not how my brain works. I had to learn the numbers. Even though I used to think that I was terrible at sales or hiring people. I used to think I thought I wasn't good at it. And then I was like, wait a second, I guess the only way that is the obstacle. I have to be really good at it. The end.
I'm 100% focused right now for the next 3 years. I decided it like a couple weeks ago. I'm going to put myself in like insanely uncomfortable positions for the next 3 years. Like I'm going to go like, no, like I'm going to go like work in somebody's business for like a week that I know nothing about. Like I'm just like obsessed with this thing of like sharpening every aspect of who I am and learning about business and helping people with businesses. And I think that I've gone, when it comes to business and exactly what you're talking about, I've gone, when I found out what leverage was and outsourcing, I went too far. And then it was nothing. And then it was too much control. And it's like you're trying to find this like sweet spot of like what works, right? And you could say the same thing about personal, morning routines, right? Or you're trying to get in this like 3-hour morning routine, and it's like, dude, you could just do like you could just do like 20 minutes and like optimize the 20 minutes and like it'd be like more impactful than like trying to like do this whole thing. It's just how it works. We over-index.
I'm on the just get to work as soon as possible train, like the Hormozy thing, where he's just like, dude, just and plus I have essentially 4 kids plus mother-in-law plus a dog and a fish all living in my house. So I'm just like, I wake up, get them to school, and just get to work. Like I try not to overthink it.
Here's the truth about your community and kind of their path to life, right? And this is like, I love unpacking different like mindsets and kind of like frameworks of like, what they're doing. Motivation and discipline is the least of the concerns for everybody listening to this podcast. Like that is what they already have in spades. So you're already ahead of the game. All right. So what do you actually need to, level up your life? You need to break down any expectations of yourself, where you're going, and exactly what you need to do. And in order to do that, you have to unpack the crap that's, happened in your life. Like we've all had the rough story, but if we've never talked about it, then it's just owning us, right? And I have a good friend who's a very successful in real estate, and he has a quote that I absolutely love. He said, "Every investment looked upon the proper time horizon is a great investment."
Yes, I love that. Yeah.
And what we're doing is we're trying to say, you know what? I'm going to leave the military. I'm going to start a family. I'm going to buy a home. I'm going to start this real estate business, and in 2 years, if I haven't had 1,000 units, then I'm going to pack it up. I'm a failure. And it's like, dude, whoa, hold on. Like I remember listening to a podcast on Bigger Pockets a long time ago. Very successful real estate guy. He said every investment that I've held for 7 years has made money. Every one of them. Every one of them.
It's like a magic number.
Yeah, we're just like judging it on the wrong, like everything, health, our mindsets, like growth. We're just judging on the wrong time.
It's almost like I love social media and the what it's provided, but it's almost like what it's causing. And again, talking about Alex Hormozy, is like it's causing you to look at where people are at. Like, oh, look, that person's already at the top of Mount Everest, and whatever they're doing at that time, you think that's what got them there, but you're missing the entire journey and what it took to actually get there. And you're all you see is people at the top of the mountain on your phone all the time. B, you're like, okay, well, what are they doing? I'm going to do that because they said to do that. And then you don't realize that you skipped all the previous steps. You're just emulating them in their current state. So that actually kind of crushes you. So like our real estate programs, I always say, is not in an order of like setting you up necessarily like financially or logical educational steps. Like our syllabus and our coaching programs are in order of confidence building. Like that's how we approach education. So like, for example, in commercial real estate, like apartment complexes, we focus on building a team first, which the actual pre-step to that is figuring out who you are and what value you can bring to a team. Then you build a team. Then when it comes to fighting for a deal contract, you now have a team, like your credibility's way through the roof. And so you're going to just be naturally more confident when talking to the broker. And then when you have an awesome team and a deal, raising money just got 4 times easier. So you see what I'm saying? So
Yeah, of course.
yeah. Anyway, I don't even know where I was going with that. It's just we're on this rampage of like, the building up yourself, building up that confidence kind of that's how the knock-on effects happen.
And we're not allowed to, right? We don't allow ourselves, right? And something that's kind of hit me in the face and my business partner in my consulting business is like he's 40, I'm 42, okay? Like I love to provide value to people. And something that hit me like a ton of bricks in the last year, like I'm a like insane people pleaser. like you know, and it's like I've done a ton of work and I've gone through like a ton of stuff and like I'm still like people pleasing. And it's like, okay, well, why am I doing that? Okay, well, when as a child I wasn't seen, right? And so like, so like there's never an off switch to growth. It's 100% uncomfortable, but I promise you that if you do the work, and I promise you that if you dive into a community or you get a coach or you read a book or whatever it is, you get therapy, whatever needs, you get sober, it doesn't matter. But you can create something that you didn't even know was possible by looking in the places that you don't want to look. Like it's very simple. Like the stuff that you have hidden in the closet, that's dark, it's closed off. That's the thing that's subconsciously, it's a cement block around your ankle. And let's be honest, a lot of people join the military because of a shitty childhood situation. Then you get forced in to a go, and you've never actually unpacked the thing of the reason why you went in the first place.
Yeah, just layering it away with years and years. Well, I have this theory, like if you do expose, actually just worked for me recently. So you came up to people and you're like, you rattled off all the things. Like you're like divorced, sober, drug, like, hi, I'm here. Like you did this thing. To me, I think that actually sells you better. And I don't mean to use the bad S word here, but like, I think people are catching what I'm saying, because that's a stronger testament to you and your willpower and your value that you came from there and now you're here, bushy tailed, talking to these people, excited about life, than if you just had this, my stuff's been stable for the last 3 years. Awesome. Like I had to go to the bank because I was in a terrible situation, kind of still am, with one of my properties where the first year of the loan was a floating rate. And, everybody in real estate tells you, hey, they read 2008 horror stories like that's never going to be me. But it was an SBA loan. The first 12 months was floating rate. And I closed on this property April 1st of 2022 when the highest rate hikes in the history of America started.
Yeah.
So I put myself in this position, and then, by the way, hired terrible contractors. And so I'm going to the bank and I'm like, guys, I need a refinance this year. Okay. And they're like, your losses are insane. Why would we trust you? And I'm like, because I'm still here, And so I showed them, I was like, look, my NOI is going up. This. Look at what we've done with the average rents. Like I was able to paint the picture and let them see the forest through the trees. And I was like, the fact that like, you should trust me more than somebody who's just not changed for the last 12 months and are like, stable cash flow. Imagine what I did if I didn't have the problems with the contractors or the permitting or the interest rate situation or like the millions of other things I had to explain to them. Where would I would be, So, and they bought it, So, and I think that's a similar thing, that what you're doing is like, you're selling the fact that you are a resilient, adaptive person, right?
No, and I think that in business and in real estate, I think that we create, narratives. You told a story of how it was going to get better. You didn't just say, I don't know what to do. And and I'm not saying that everybody's just like, hey, whatever, like the bank was cool. But like most of the time you can at least get something that'll buy you time to make it right where you want to go, right?
Yep.
And I think that most refuse to even have the conversation because they've already created in their head what's going to happen.
100%.
And it's like no, just have the conversation, make it wildly uncomfortable, and then understand that you're still alive on the backside of that conversation.
I 100% agree. I look at some of the multifamily operators that are defaulting on their loans and all this kind of stuff.
And you know what that is? It's shame and ego. It's like ridiculous. Have the conversation.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. I'm like, I get like some of these, I don't know. Look, so I hope I'm not projecting, but I'm looking at some of these. I'm like, I'm pretty sure my situation was worse. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. It's just I have to be cognizant of what did it take. I have to learn a lesson about this personally too, because I need to repeat things that work in the future.
So we were talking. Have you ever heard of this guy named Jeff Sands? You ever heard of this guy? So this
it's
guy
ringing
named Jeff,
a bell, but remind me.
So he wrote a book called Turnaround or something like that. It's like he's a turnaround specialist, like in business.
Oh, sweet.
Okay. Like shitty, like the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst, like ever.
Okay.
They own a consulting firm and a fund. He told my business partner that if somebody hasn't gone through bankruptcy, he won't even go into business with them.
Wow.
Like it's a rite of passage.
It just teaches you. Yes.
It's like a rite of passage of like, and I'm not saying, he's not saying like go after bankruptcy, but what he's saying is like, now I know that you've been through the worst and you'll learn from it. And then we can move on from there.
That's such a seismic mindset shift. And honestly, I didn't know that until 3 years ago. I've gone through hell 3 years ago with one of my properties. And now I am about to be under contract on another one, looking for another one, raising capital without any issues. I mean, honestly, if you told me years ago that despite all this, I'd be able to jump on a call and then a few hours later have investment dollars being committed, you'd blow my mind. But you're exactly right. Sorry, I'm not trying to bring it back to like my story. I think,
no, it's so important. It's so important because all my business partner, other one, came up with a great thing. He said, business is nothing but war with rubber bullets, and you just can't die. And you just can't die. Like at the end of the day, like perfect example. Listen to a podcast today. Guy's doing $250 million in revenue through an air filter business that he's going to go to $1 billion. He says he bought an HVAC business. He bought an HVAC business because he thought he knew what he was doing. The purchase was $3 million. He lost $5 million. Like he said, so I packed that up. I repositioned the way that I'm going to attack this market because now I know what I'm not good at, what I'm great. And I just love that kind of mindset of like, okay, this is a mistake we made. And look, my philosophy in life is there are mistakes that we make. And typically those money mistakes we make one time.
I'm telling you right now, this is the one time. Like there's this memory care facility, saying this out there to the universe. I've probably lost $1.5 to $2 million of actual invested cash and loss of value to me and my parents. Like I had to start.
There's a double layer of shame and hurt because of your parents.
Oh my God. People say don't get into business with family. I disagree. I think it's the same thing as somebody saying, oh, getting into business is dangerous or doing anything is dangerous, right? Like, or risky. I think it just depends on you. And I think it depends on your, like, you have to evaluate your own situation. Like we've had some extremely difficult conversations with my parents. Because of the trials and tribulations, right?
And what do they want, right? At the end of the day, all they want from you, don't get me wrong, they would like the money, they would like the retirement, but like all they want to do is put you in the light of like, look at my, successful son. He knew what he was doing. I trusted him, right? And you're saying the same thing to them. So like the thing that they don't care about, you care about more than they do, which is the retirement, the money. They're more worried about you being happy and successful.
You're right. You're 100% right.
You have it's two different sides of the coin.
You're 100%. Like they are totally okay with, not really, but if they never saw a penny from this investment anymore, they know that the weird thing is I've cross-pollinated lessons I've learned. So like the things I'm learning in this business have helped me massively in both ADPI as an education community business and in my apartment complex space. Like it gave me the confidence to like self-manage a 56 unit apartment complex. It gave me the confidence to tell a bank to screw off that I knew better than other property managers. I literally had to be that strong with them until they finally let me self-manage. So anyways, I love this conversation. And yeah, thank you for kind of like just re-highlighting a lot of these lessons for our members. I think
of course.
It's really important to just, I kept hearing every single podcast. I was like driving down to Miramar from either San Diego or Oceanside when I was just getting started. And everybody said like, oh, you learn through failures, keep failing. And I'm like, that just sounds like baloney. Now I'm like, gosh, it doesn't land the same until you experience it yourself.
No, 100%.
Now I like want to fail as fast as possible.
No, 100%. And I think something that's also important, and this is me talking to the men out there because this is something I'm super passionate about. And kind of my joke I came up with. Like, know when you enter the front door of your house, your kid doesn't go up to you and go, "Hey, Daddy, how's the bank account?" Like,
you're right.
He never says that, right? And so many of us, and I know this because I've coached a lot of men. So many of us say, "I'm doing this for you." Yeah, but your spouse or your kids never asked you for that. They only asked you for your time. And so Luke Combs, one of my favorite singers, has a song saying he doesn't want to be famous on stage. He wants to be front door famous.
Yeah.
And
have you heard the song "Front Porch Looking In"?
Yeah. Oh, and what I'm trying to get them at is that remember that the things you're choosing to invest in, that person over there, the spouse, whether you're a woman or man, has agreed to join this crazy journey with you. And when was the last time that you told them thank you?
Oh my gosh.
You know, my fiance has been with me from, the last 5 years, and she's seen some stuff. And she's like, oh, here we go again. We're doing it again, right? Because my business stuff has been crazy. The real estate stuff's been crazy with the market. And I told her the other day, like, hey, like, thank you. Like this is crazy. Like we live in an RV now. We're traveling again. We traveled before this. We did 33 states. Like I love to be on the move. And so she loves to travel, but like there's a lot and this business starts over here. And it's like, I don't think that we take enough time because we go, oh, they should just appreciate this. And it's like, no, you should appreciate that they let you leave your W-2. You should appreciate they let you put the money in ADP. You should appreciate they let you listen to all these podcasts. Like, I just don't, that on the back of like working on yourself, I think will create, an amazing situation for you.
Are you interviewing me? Because like now you're making me want to talk more. It's whatever. I'm supposed to be asking you questions, man.
It's whatever. It's whatever. I've done coaching. I've done coaching sessions on the podcast. I don't care. Like open form dialogue is such an interesting conversation, right? Because at the end of the day, what I believe to be the thing is I think that we read books. I think that we operate in different frameworks. I think situations come into our life in different seasons where things are put into focus. And for me, one of the things I'm obsessed with right now that I got away from the last 2 years is how do we, like people ask me what I want. I want peace and I want freedom of my lifestyle, not freedom of money. I want freedom of like, being able to operate the way that I want to. So like, I'm going to do this podcast. I'm going to go for a walk afterwards. I've got a couple meetings in the afternoon. Like, I think that we get like, I'll use an example. And this is my number one thing I have against real estate. This is like literally my number one thing besides it being boring as hell. That's another thing. But this is my number one thing. Too many people are investing in real estate to try to save or get out of something instead of enhancing what they already have. Real estate is not a save your life, leave your W-2 job. It's a slow, consistent thing that over time compounds for tax benefits, cash flow, and equity. But too many people get into real estate, join a mastermind, start to do wholesale, try to buy multifamily to get out of the life that they're currently living instead of enhance what their greatness of their life already. That is my number one issue with real estate. It doesn't work that way.
Well, I mean, is it real estate or is it anything that's being hyped up on social media?
Anything. We're on the new thing where AI, you can't fall out of a bucket without hearing about AI now, right? We're on the new thing, right? You know
Oh,
what
yeah.
somebody asked. You know what somebody asked me? They said, what is your constant? I said, my consistency is that I will bring value every day, and no matter what vehicle that sits in, it will always be the thing. Bitcoin, AI, we're all over the place. It's exhausting, right? We just become tired. Instead of just zoning out, getting focused on exactly what we want to do, being the best husband, best person, best investor that you can, and learning the most about yourself and the trade. Because the mechanism of the thing, right? Like, here's what I don't know. Through the failures that we've had, if you and I say this as a joke on purpose, if you and I opened a dance studio, it would be the best dance studio you ever seen in your life.
100%.
Like, but people are like, no, I only do real estate. It's like, no. You only seek opportunities that enhance the life that you already have. Okay. Same way with health. I only strive to do something healthy every day. I don't work out every day. And just these mental shifts, Brandon Turner's talked about it. Like Alex Ramosi talks about it. Like, just you remove yourself the attachment to the thing, and now it's about you instead of the thing.
Yeah. And when you were talking about focus just like 30 seconds ago, or it sounded like what you were saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, that because there's a lot of distraction, what you've committed to, whether it's like crypto, AI, real estate, whatever it is, that you choose one thing and you become like a student of that craft, and you will make yourself the best in that thing.
Yeah, the craft is me being a palm tree. Okay,
Okay,
and what
what?
I mean by that, a palm tree can weather any storm, and it's got insanely strong roots.
Mm-hmm.
So the winds of the market, right? You meet those real estate guys that you meet those real estate guys that make money in any market. You meet the crypto guys that make money in any market. You make the business people that make money in a recession. You become so dialed into who you are and what you do and what you create, that the winds of change and the external markets don't exist.
I love that. And I do think that's, yeah, it's like almost deeper than focus. Is that you won't be what's the term? Fair weather, fair weather focused
100%.
person. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
it's not going to be the fair weather that's going to determine what your focus is. Your focus is going to be consistent focus. You're going to be the best at the thing. I think that's why ADPI, we made this big shift when we got into operating on EOS and read the book Traction. We were like, and then I also read Jim Collins' Is Good to Great, and it just like, it was like these like Jim Collins, like, wow, that guy.
Let me explain something to you. That book right there, okay. And interesting because it's not a book that I would typically enjoy because it's super dense and like not my thing.
Oh my God, I know, right?
I believe that is my top 2 business book of all time.
It's
like
same.
It's life changing, that book for me, because I'm obsessed with the taking the good and going to great. That's like all I care about moving forward, is like that one thing.
And it's almost like I think we said this the other day about a sales management book we have. It's like it's a duh book. Like, you're reading it and you're like, duh, of course. It's so simple, but it's about being brilliant in this. Like, what is your core focus? Did you write it down? Or like for me, what was very difficult is figuring out what is our core, like truly what is our core focus. And then like he had that Venn diagram where he's like, okay, well, you need to have an economic engine. Then you need to have, the thing you're truly passionate about that you would do for free. And so I'm like and like he actually gave me the tools that he called it the hedgehog concept, but like Traction actually, I feel like didn't do enough for me. If I had read Traction and Good to Great 3 years earlier, I wouldn't have finished. I would have put them away.
Sure.
But I was at the right time. Finally, like the sentence means something different to me when I read it than I did if I did 3 years ago. And so I was reading it at the right time. Yes. And then that dense book was interesting to me, even though it looks like a textbook, because it was at the right time and every single sentence started clicking. It took me forever to get through the book, even in audio version, because I was like, I need to like sit down and started doodling the Venn diagram of like, okay, what is our hedgehog concept? And I was like so obsessed with economic engine, and it all started making sense. And I don't know where I'm going with that, but that book,
Traction,
helped me focus.
I've read Traction.
That book helped me focus.
I've read Traction like 6 times, and there's a moment in Traction that's life-changing, and I want to describe it to everybody because it's so real. It's not even funny. So there's a moment in Traction when he talks about entrepreneurship or building a business or starting something new. Is like you're on a cliff, and he says God pushes you off and the cliff, and then you grab on a branch and you're hanging, to your death, and you're looking up and you're going, God, can I get a second opinion? like it's so real because that's the thing. It's like, okay, because here's something I also believe in. This is okay. I'm about to go like so deep on you, but I feel like you can handle it. But like this is going to be like this has been a question I've had for 3 years. Okay, and I don't have an answer. It's an exploratory question that I don't know if I ever have the true answer for. And I apologize if people think I'm going off the deep end, but it is what it is. Okay. Do we read books? Do we listen to podcasts to learn something new, or only confirm what we internally already know to be true?
I think it depends on the person, and I think it depends on the season of life.
Because what I'm saying is, like, have you ever read something and you go, oh yeah, like, okay, like, I get it, like wait, that's not something that I learned down the road. That's just something I know.
So there's 3 books like that. So sorry, The Motive by Patrick Lencioni.
Yep,
that is in the top 2 for me. Like, Traction was that way, and this sales management book we're reading, because nothing they're saying there was groundbreaking. Mm-hmm. It was just said very strongly, and it slapped you across the face. The Motive does it by way of a book, by way of a story. It's kind of like C.S. Lewis was a genius because he was able to write these books about the most difficult concepts because they were so obvious, but nobody in the world wants to accept them, that he had to turn it into a story to draw you in emotionally and then slap you across the face. So that's what The Motive does. Yeah. It's phenomenal. It's like it's for anybody out there who's a CEO or a top level executive or somebody in charge of a thing that doesn't realize that you really have to get into the trenches with your, like, there's this hype about being like, working on your business means you're sitting back while other people do work, kind of thing. And then Traction was just like, oh my God, you have to focus on one thing. Who knew?
Let's give an example, right? If you want people to get sober and you want them to talk about their addiction, I've seen it firsthand, and there's been studies that if people are hiking, they're more comfortable talking about their addiction than sitting in a room.
Okay, why?
Because they're out in an element, not being the focal point of attention. There's outdoor things going on, and they're more open to talk, right?
They say that about relationships?
Yeah.
Like if you're in a fight, go walk with your significant other.
And it's easy, right? You're not staring directly at each other. And so where that question came in my mind is, it took me, this is a true story, my journey in personal development. I had never read How to Win Friends and Influence People. I never read it. I got to read this book. I never read it, right? But I finally read it after like 7 years in, and I go,
should I read it?
I go, oh, I'm doing every single one of these things. I've been doing every single one of these things for 7 years,
wild,
and I never read it. And that's when this concept
wild.
came, like literally like the blueprint. And then I'll say the same. My number one, like my insane book that if you haven't read it, I've given it to every mentor, Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. All right.
Okay.
Let me explain something to you about this book. This book was so controversial when he wrote it in 1931 that it sat in a safety deposit box for 70 years. And nobody opened it until they all passed away. When he printed it, it's like he wrote it for today.
Wow.
Today.
That's genius right there.
He wrote it like literally almost 100 years ago. But it was so controversial. He has a make-believe conversation with the devil and explains all the issues in society right now. 100 years ago.
That's okay. Well, I'm adding that. Thank you for the ever growing pile of books I need to get there.
And he talks about drifting, right? And it's like the thing, right? And I think that we create these complex issues in our life to make us feel like we're doing something, but actually we already know the answer, which is just to do the work, to go in the areas that we won't want to.
I see that on a way smaller level every single day.
You know, true story. I got a great friend. He's very successful in real estate. It's the funniest thing I've ever heard in my entire life, ever. Big wholesaler, big flipper out of Arizona. He goes, watch this talk. We were good friends. We played a lot of golf. He goes, watch this talk. I'm going to talk for 45 minutes, and I guarantee you, I know the first question they're going to ask when I'm done talking, no matter what I said. This guy's making like $200,000 a month. He goes, they're going to ask me how to create an LLC. I go, no, they're not. Come on, that's bullshit. And he goes, and so he gets done, and they go, so how do you create an LLC? And he goes, let me explain something to you. And then they're asking about taxes. He goes, I got some great advice for you. He goes, how about you make enough money first where taxes become an issue, and then come talk to me. Like, you know,
oh my gosh, I love
we're creating the LLC to prevent us from doing the thing because we're actually just scared.
Ain't that it's the false sense of progress. And it's like, I see that a lot in like everywhere in my life. I mean, in ADPI, sometimes it has like, you'll see, and this is not me like talking down to anybody. So it's just, you'll see somebody asking a question or doing a thing out of fear of tackling the actual thing that they know they need to do, just for the false sense of, it's almost like sometimes when I see somebody asking too many questions, I'm like, you know what to do. It's kind of like the natural law. You know what's good, what's right and wrong. Like 100%. I don't have to, like, none of this is rocket surgery, you know, as one of my mentors used to say. Like,
you know, here, let me break down real estate for you guys. It took me 7 years of too many podcasts and a bunch of books to realize this.
Okay.
If you buy a property on a fixed rate and you get $1 more than what your mortgage is, you've created a cash flowing asset. Boom, there you go. You're done.
Yeah.
That's it.
Hold it forever. And also, don't worry about, like, you know, if it's going to cost you like occasional maintenance and repairs, you're probably putting more away in principal. It's probably going to grow more in appreciation over time. Don't sweat the
serious
small
question.
Stuff.
Is it more about the dollar that you make, or is it more about the ability to show yourself that you could do something? I think those go hand in hand, right? Like, your first couple properties are nothing but practice anyway.
Oh my!
So stop creating a mountain out of it.
That's one thing I'm very glad. I don't know what it was, but for some reason I knew that early on. I'm very fortunate. Like, I would not have done every single step for me. I did look at it like a series of dominoes. I was like, I just need this to happen. Not that it's going to get me anything anytime soon, but it was going to lend me the confidence and the credibility and the authority to keep moving. You know, I knew that it was going to help the next domino fall. So I needed to get an apartment complex. First, I got a turnkey rental property because I was spinning my wheels for a year. Couldn't figure anything out. Wanted to like burr something or flips. I couldn't figure anything out. Finally, I was like, I'm just going to have a professional. I'm going to overpay for somebody to flip a house and hand it to me on a silver platter because I just need momentum to build. I need something to start turning on this flywheel because nothing's like, if it doesn't start turning, I'm never going to get any. And then it was like, then I overpaid for a multifamily apartment complex with my parents' money. And that made me and them almost no money for a while. And now it's making them more tax deferred, really tax-free money than my dad's salary. You know, and it helped me transition out of the military. And then that helped me go do a syndication. But guess what? I gave the investors 80% of the equity instead of the typical 70 or 60 because I was like, I needed to overcome the fact that I didn't have that much experience. And I had to just show them this amazing amount of this deal I was going to give them. Look how much equity I'm going to throw at you. So I didn't make that much money off of it, but that helped me then do the next one. Then that helped me it was to me, it was like Sam Altman always says, like, people burn out because of failure. They're focused too much on like all the next steps. It's like, just focus on the thing right in front of you and crush it.
Yeah. 100%.
Stack the deck in your favor, succeed with this one thing in front of you. And that's the greatest predictor of future success is, are you going to succeed in this one thing right now? Because failure burns you out. I tell this story. I was in a helicopter simulator and this old instructor was sitting there with me and I screwed something up in the checklist. I was like, oh, I always mess that up. Like, I'm sorry. And he stopped me. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, it was just a mistake. He's like, well, stop. I was like, what? He's like, you're not having fun, are you? And I was like, no, sir, I'm not. He's like, cause you're not good at it yet. He's like, go back home and practice, and then you're going to have a great time. And I was like, oh, so fun is a byproduct of you being good at something, and everybody knows what you need to do to be good at something. Just do it a lot, practice a lot, and accept that that's what it takes. So anyway, that to me helped me. I think that one instructor probably planted that little seed in me. Like, I just need to build momentum. I just need to build momentum. And that's what's going to help me going. You don't have to get 100-unit property like Grant Cardone says right off the rip. Just get something.
So you have an amazing community of people. You're engaged with them. You see their needs and wants. If you had to pinpoint one or two of their biggest issues right now, what would that be?
I think that a lot of our community has been too long in a system where this is going to sound like, trust me, I'm a third generation immigrant, love the United States, love the military. Everything is provided to me. But I also know that there was moments in the military where I could have been licking a window and still collecting a paycheck. So I know that being in a system like that doesn't necessarily set you up for what's outside the system. To punch through that membrane mentally and it takes a lot. And so I think that and you also get like patronized and like, you first come in and it's like the military's agenda, and rightfully so, is to make you a warfighter for the greatest, military in the world, to defend our country. Right. And so it's not their agenda to make you a millionaire. Right. Yeah. And so you walk in here and they're like, don't get this, don't get a credit card, don't get this car loan, don't do this. And so you're like fearful of money all the time. And it's difficult to take big jumps. And you almost have to in real estate, which is why I'm saying, like, that's why we build our curriculums that way, where it has to be confidence built. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, so basically what you're describing is they've circumvented and lost their identity within a system. And
identity is huge.
And they don't know who they truly are. Like, I'm obsessed with this, like, when you leave something behind, like, you have to rebuild who you are, and 100%. You kind of get stuck for a couple years. And it's never more prevalent than it is in the military, because the entire complex is for you to not have an identity, right? And so one of the things that you can do, and I'm trying to provide as much value as I can to them, one of the things that you can do is gravitate to things that you enjoyed as a teenager and start doing those things again, right?
What?
And
okay.
Yeah, and so what I mean by that is, like, tap in to who you were before those identities got placed on you, and it'll unearth something inside of you that you've forgotten, that'll trigger something else, that'll allow you to reestablish again who you were before the expectations, the military, the dad, the mom, the stuff that you can remember. Do that. Like, I'm dead serious. Like, go rollerblading, like, pick up the guitar, like,
because
it's the number one thing is that one of my favorite things I came up with of all time ever is a saying, and it's, the better you get at cooking, the farther you get away from the kitchen. All right?
Okay, unpack that.
So the better that you are as a celebrity chef or somebody that's great, you don't cook anymore. Now you're just a face. You don't get to do the thing that you love anymore. And so what happens as adults is that we forgot to do the things that we love anymore, because we're doing the things that we think we should be doing and not giving any presence or attention or energy to the things that actually made us happy and brought us joy back then.
Yeah. I think that the way I started ADPI was because I'm a nerd, and I had a computer science degree and IT background, like at the Naval Academy, but I never used that. I started wiggling sticks on a 1980s aircraft. I was like, I thought my degree was pointless. I always wanted to hack Russia. I always wanted to, like, I was a nerd.
The movie about the war games, like, that's like your thing, right? Like, where he creates the video game or plays the video game, and it's a war game. I can't think of the name, but yeah.
Ender's Game and Ender's Shadow.
Yeah, something like
Is
that.
that
Or like, and there's an
anyways,
old timey movie too, but yeah, I can't
oh,
remember.
maybe no, I don't know, but yeah, so I was always a nerd and like I didn't have a way to scratch that itch, but I also wanted to make more money because I grew up in Ukraine and I saw the contrast between Ukraine and the United States, and my parents were very, very, very frugal, but they didn't think long term, and I was the oldest of 7. So I just felt like, and I was long distance dating my wife, so I was like, I need to make more money because I love traveling.
Mhm.
And I traveled my entire childhood. Like we were all over the place, in different places in Ukraine, London, anyway. And so, but one of the things that I was doing a lot was nerding out on the computer, learning about how to use the computer, but also doing a lot of like, I was one of like, I was a Photoshop addict. I would do space art. I would literally make planets that looked like they were, a picture was taken of a planet, but I made that in Photoshop as like a 12-year-old kid. And that's what I was just graphic design, video making. Like, that's why I have like 2, multi-$1,000 cameras in my studio. Cause I'm obsessed with like creating beautiful things, or like even a simple video to me, if like, oh, the blur in the background's good. Like that. So that's why I'm very happy that I think we've gotten back to a place with ADPI. We've grown so well. We've served so many military members that we're growing as an organization to where that's kind of coming back to me, that I'm able to be on this podcast right now. Right. Like this is a luxury I wasn't able to have in basically the last 6 years. After earlier on, that's, I was able to nerd out on building the website and doing all the graphic design, but that all went away pretty fast. Like as soon as we started growing, like I had to just basically be managing and leading. And now I'm finally getting into doing the stuff I love a little bit. So I love that you said that, because I think that's kind of happening a little bit for me right now.
Yeah.
What about your consulting? What is it?
Yeah.
And I know that you also have a podcast.
Sure.
And this is like, is this a way that you're giving back? Is this your mission? Like, what is it to you? Like, you have are they intertwined, your podcast and your consulting right now?
Yeah. So the podcast has been around for 5 years. It's called Construct Your Life: How to Build a Lifestyle, Not a Bank Account. Love that.
Okay. Awesome.
Always gonna do that. That's been around forever. I've been one-on-one coaching about 6 years. Same thing, helping people level up, sales, addiction, getting divorced. Like I've covered it all.
Wow, okay.
High achievers. And then a couple months ago, we started Proactive Operators, which is our consulting firm. And basically, our thesis is that people would love to learn from people who actually own businesses and are in the trenches, instead of some guy wearing a sweater vest, talking about things that he didn't know about, that he just read in a book. So I started that with 2 business partners, one who's built multiple businesses, done marketing at scale, and then another one who's an AI systems process, like operating ninja. And so we work with businesses from 3 to 20 million, and we help them professionalize their business, recruiting, sales, operations. We basically level up their entire business so they can double revenue. We're loving that one. I work with the managers, I coach the CEOs, stuff like that. And so that is what I do on a day-to-day basis. And then we have, the podcast and some businesses and stuff like that. But I just, like you, I left a lot of what I thought I wanted for other things for a couple years. And now I'm 100% back into coaching and consulting, and advising businesses and my business and so on. And I'm the happiest I've ever been. Like, cause I just love that. Like, it's my thing. It's when I'm the happiest. Because when I coach somebody, it's so much bigger than just coaching them, because I'm affecting who they are as a husband, as a spouse, as a brother, as a sister, as a husband, as a wife. Like, I'm affecting their kids. And like, that to me is a greater thing, and I can affect a community and their home. And so really, in my opinion, there's nothing better. And
That's
I've
so
tried to like not do it, and it just doesn't work. Like, I just love it. Like, I've tried to like
compartmentalize the consulting.
Yeah. I've like tried to focus on like my businesses and like, like put it away for now, to like take a break. And I'm not the same. Like, I'm not the same. And so now that we're back into consulting and coaching, like, this fire for me is just like, like it's my thing, like it's my Jim Collins. It's like it's my greatness. Like I'm obsessed. Like I've helped clients' dads get sober. Like do you know like how fucking awesome? Like I'm sorry, I'm gonna cuss because that is amazing. Do you know how fucking awesome that is when this longtime client goes, I've tried everything. He's 30 years an alcoholic. I can't get to him. I sent you money. Figure it out. I don't know what you're going to do. And like we did. And I'm like, dude, like he just had a baby and grandpa's sober now. Like,
good night. That's
it's
awesome.
the best. Yeah, it's the best. You can't beat it.
Oh, wow. Wow. I love that. It's crazy. I don't know why that reminded me of something. My grandpa, he just passed away. What was it? 6 months ago? I don't know. Recently. He was 95, 96, something. He was in 5, potentially 6 labor camps in World War II.
Wow.
Like the full timeline of World War II, he was in captivity that way.
Wow.
Not concentration camps. Not because he was a Jew. He wasn't. It was more because he was caught up in the wrong thing. It was like in Ukraine near the Hungarian border. He was like some 14-year-old kid with angst and wanting to stand up against stuff. And I don't know and understand the full historical significance of those politics too well, but he got captured by the SS and the rest was history. He was just used as, for cheap labor basically, or free labor. And it caused some very, very intense knock-on effects on his family, as you can imagine, like living through that. But nobody really knew what it was that happened. He did not talk about it. And there's so many things that didn't make sense, that didn't piece together. And, but I had a friend who also unfortunately passed away. So this can be like in memory of him, Hobart Kistler at the Naval Academy, who I swear was born in the wrong time. He should have been born in the 1950s, maybe in the 1920s. The way he dressed.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, Hobart Kistler.
I mean, let me explain something to you. I don't know anything about this guy. Before you even said it out of your mouth, I could tell you how he dressed.
Like, I guarantee you could. How you imagine it is how this guy dressed. You could probably imagine his hair, this slicked over like comb, like.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes.
Just anyway. And so, but this is the truest gentleman. But he also asked the most awkward and concerning and kind of disruptive questions at forestall lectures with people like the Secretary of Defense talking to us. Like he would just come up and just ask the question that everybody's like, oh my God, we're going to be in the papers tomorrow. But he had a passion to interview World War II veterans and survivors, not necessarily only like U.S. military, but just anybody that survived World War II. And I promise, I know we're running out of time. I'll wrap up.
You're fine. Very good.
He did 200 interviews. He actually talked about them as if they were his best friends. He kept up with these people. And when I found that out, I went to his room. Like I found him. We have like the Naval Academy has like 3.3 miles of hallway space. It's the largest dormitory, if you want to call it that, in the world. And so like I go find him, and I'm like, dude, this is my grandpa. Like, can you call him? And he called him. 6 hours later, 11 pages written down of like my grandpa's story. My grandpa had never shared some of this stuff ever.
Oh my God.
But it was after like 6 hours of Hobart's, like he was just so good because he knew he was an expert at the topic, but he also knew how to talk to 90-year-olds or 80-year-olds at the time, right? Yes. He was just an expert at it. And so, and it was just, it wasn't even, he was a student of that craft because he loved it, And so I think his book is yet to be published posthumously, and I can't wait for that to happen. But I mean, 11 pages of it is going to be about my grandpa, which is crazy to me.
Absolutely amazing.
But I mean, he is like one of the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. Like to survive one, much less 5 of them, and why he was in 5 different ones. It's just bananas. But anyway,
and you know what we've done as a society, not to get on my soapbox, but we no longer value your grandfather's wisdom. We no longer ask the questions of saying, how did you make it? You know, when we go to buy a business or we ask some old timey real estate guy how he made it through 10 recessions, we're not actually asking because we've got the plan.
Yeah.
We're going to do it better, right? And what I've
Yeah.
realized as I get older is, unfortunately, I'm becoming that older guy. Like we live in RV parks, and most of the time we're the youngest ones here. Okay? Most of the time. I've met the most successful people of my entire life in the RV parks. I'm talking
Wow.
about people that have sold multiple millions of business in real estate. And I always ask them questions.
Are you serious?
Yeah, 100%, dude. I met a guy who hasn't worked in 10 years because he sold his business to Coach. He refused to tell me how much money he made. I met a guy who was the largest builder on the West Coast for 25 years. Like, this is not a cheap man's game. Like, I met a guy who
out
had
in an RV park.
I met a guy who had 60 pizza joints on the East Coast. Like it's just insanity. But what I love is the vibe. I told this yesterday on a podcast. This is my favorite thing. I hate the beach, love to be at the beach. Okay? I don't like sand. I'm a lake guy. But I love the vibe of people that are at the beach because they're happy.
Same.
I
And
love
actually,
I love the vibe of an RV. We don't have a big house. We're always outside. Typically, it's in a beautiful place, and it's a pretty simple life. I love that.
Wow, that's interesting. Holy cow. I don't know why that just blew my mind, but it makes sense. But I just like that you're meeting these people at RV parks, but like I get it, I guess.
Dude,
I just
the
never
nicest
thought of
RV
that.
park one of the nicest RV parks I ever stayed at in Nashville. The average RV that was there was $500 to $1 million.
Dude.
There was one that was
wow.
$2 million. There was one that was $2 million.
Wow.
Dude, you walk outside.
I didn't even know. I didn't even know that was possible, to be honest.
You walk outside right here, it's nothing but BMWs and nice trucks. People don't seem to understand this, dude. There's like 500 lots here where I'm at North Austin right now. Like, it's nothing but BMWs and like insane like $100,000 trucks. It's not a cheap man's game. And so I just love the attitude. And here's the thing: you don't like where you're at, link up and roll on.
Yeah. Wow. That's, I think part of that, maybe when we're empty nesters, would be very interesting to me and my wife, because we cannot sit still. Like, we've lived here for almost 3 years in Florida, and we're already like, okay, are we moving to Austin? Maybe, like, let's check that place out. Like, for real. Like, we're like, because I don't. But we have kids.
You know why? You know why? Because your need for you and your wife is to leave the place that you are better than you found it.
You think that's what's rooting it?
I know that's what's rooting it for me.
Okay.
I think that you're a person that, like, I mean, you don't run a community like yours and not care about like people. Like, it's just you couldn't do it. Okay. But most
fair.
people are so tied to a thing they can't remove themselves from it. You're a seeker, you're a traveler, you're an explorer. Like, I really believe that I'm a conquistador. Like, I know it sounds ridiculous. I'm making it up. I'm making a joke now, but I'm I'm obsessed with like exploring, and through exploring is exploring humans. And like, what I wish everybody, you're talking to somebody who's been in every state almost except like North Dakota, okay? In the last like 5 years.
Yeah.
I wish we could wake up to this fact that we're all closer to the same than we realize. The people in Georgia had the same issues that the people in Colorado do.
Right.
The people in Colorado had the same. And you know what we care about? We care about community and people. And we're all a little nicer than we portray online. And, I helped a guy move a couch the other day because he was an older gentleman. Like, I mean, that's what's happening more than what you see, because they're not going to put that on social media.
So, gosh, how are you doing on time? Like, do you want to...
I'm good. I got plenty of time. Go.
Okay. So, one of the things is I want to touch on is community. And then the other thing was, we did a little unofficial, I have this big whiteboard here, and we do like a little VTO, vision traction organizer, for the family. But it's like very dumbed down and simplified. And one of the things that we talked about is like, what do we want to do? What are we trying to get out of this stuff? Because there's got to be a point to all this hard work with the real estate and building ADPI and everything my wife's doing with social media. And what we realize is like we're kind of chasing new experiences, or we're kind of like we're trying to dissect like, why do we love travel? Well, we realized, okay, well, we really love experiencing something for the first time. So like sometimes our coaching students, we try to, like, this came from Tim Kelly in our multifamily program. We really try to like really dig into their why. Like, okay. So Tim does this like 7 layers of why. He's like, why? Oh, because I love my family. Why? It gets like really awkward and uncomfortable fast, right?
Yeah.
And so
About the third one, you're starting to sweat. Yeah.
yes. You're like, I don't know anymore. And so, and what I realized is like a few layers deep is what I really love. Like, cause it's like, okay, with my family. Well, why? Well, cause I want to spend more time with them. Well, why? Well, because like what I'm realizing is I'm addicted. And I think this came from my other grandpa. I'm addicted. I get dopamine from seeing them experience something for the first time, like creating that core memory. Like the first time my kids had pasta bolognese in Florence, Italy with real Parmesan, and I just saw their brain like just go,
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, this is what it's supposed to taste like. That's like, to me, that was or a monumental moment was when I married my wife and she came to the United States, immigrated. Like, to her, the United States was like Mars. And just everything that she experienced here, to me, that was like, I just loved it. I was like, I wanted to see every moment she experienced something for the first time. That was just like this massive driving force. And I think it was rooted because my grandpa on my mom's side, he actually won an award in DC a while, many years ago for like helping people legally immigrate here. How many people he helped come here the right way. And I just saw so many families come through their doors, live in their home as they kind of like set them up for success in the United States. And now they're doing great. And I think that's what kind of like, it was like rooted in me. It's like, I want to help people experience something new. And so seeing that with my kids is just like on cloud 9, being able to.
Best.
So, I don't know. I just wanted to.
No, but like, think about this. Like, and anybody that's listening right now, like, when's the last time that your heart skipped a beat when you saw something? And I mean this wholeheartedly. I feel this way every time I turn on the road to see Sedona. I feel this. I feel this way every time I see Mount Rainier. Like, there's Wyoming, Utah, Portugal. Like, there is something like, and so what's happened is we become these robots, and we've forgotten that we care about these things. Mm-hmm. Like, I said something on a podcast that was the most profound thing I've ever said in my life, and it was just in flow.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready.
You know what's never disappointed me ever in my lifetime? Ever. Not in my 42 years on this earth. You know what's never, ever, 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 ever disappointed me?
What?
A sunrise and sunset.
That is a true statement.
And so when I got divorced, and I this was during COVID, when I got divorced and I got laid off from my private equity job, I started a podcast in the same 10-day stretch. Like, I was traveling then. I told myself I was just going to seek sunrises and see what happened.
Wow.
It was the happiest I ever was. I was in Florida. I would get up at 4 a.m. because what people don't seem to understand, right? It's not the actual time the sun rises that's the best. It's 30 minutes before. It's the light, when the light becomes ray, right? When it comes pink and purple. I have a million pictures. Yeah. That is you and your opportunities and your abundance. It's not the moment that it happens, it's the time before, after you put in all the work.
Yeah, and it sucks because like sometimes you don't know when it's like sometimes I'm like, you're not prepared for experiencing how awesome that moment's going to be.
Yes.
And you're like, and that's why it's so great. You can't anticipate it, because if you anticipate it, it's ruined.
Yeah, 100%. No, you can't. But that's what we try to do. We try to micromanage the situation to be something magical, and it's not going to work that way.
Yeah. Well, what about? So you asked a little bit about our community. Well, let's see if we can bring it back to real estate and see, and then also see if how people can connect with you, so you can just like concretely let everybody know, because obviously you had a lot of fans from the last one, to see how they can connect with you.
Well, they were
for
fans
what
because
purposes.
I was an Airbnb at that time, and I was the hot button ticket. So I've been thinking about
Okay.
this. I've been thinking about this the whole time we've been talking, and I might shoot myself in the foot here, but I don't really care. And I'll complain about it. I'll complain about it later.
Okay.
So there's two things I want to do because I love your community. So I either want to jump on a call for 15, 20 minutes with anybody that wants to jump on. So all you got to do is email me at ajlinney, Linney @gmail.com. Shoot me a message. Tell me about the podcast. Or I could do a group call in the group and answer questions. So I'm open to either one, but I just want to give back to these amazing people that serve our country. Most of my employees are ex-military. I got friends who run recruiting firms who are I'm obsessed with the military people. I appreciate their duty, their honor, who they are. So
Thank
anything
you.
I can do to give back is just the best.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think there might definitely be a time for us to have, maybe, I don't know, what would you focus the class on? Mindset, confidence? What do you think?
I
What
would focus the class 100% on creating a subconscious mindset that locks you in to becoming unstoppable. Because what we know is that 80%, 90% of what we operate in is a subconscious mind. And so how do you create, a framework to build and stack shifting of the mind? I'm obsessed with like reprogramming the mind, right? Look, let me explain. We've talked about a lot of books here. I bought this book 60 times. It was the book that changed my life, okay? Yeah, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, did that when I was 17. Everybody says that answer, yes, whatever. But this book, What You Say When You Talk to Yourself, is the original OG of personal development, Shad Hamsley. This book teaches you how to reprogram the things that you're saying to your mind, to yourself. It's an amazing book, super cheap. But I'm obsessed with that kind of stuff.
Awesome. I got that written down. I feel like I should have known about these books already, but I appreciate you mentioning the Outwitting the Devil. I've heard of it, but I've never heard such a strong endorsement for it yet. And I mean, obviously Napoleon Hill is an OG too, but I think you put it in the right context. So awesome, guys. You guys heard it. AJ Linney at what again?
So the email, you can reach out to me at austinlinney.com, Linney. That has the podcast. You can send a message, but you can email me at ajlinney, Linney @gmail.com. Say you listen to the podcast. And then I'll throw you a link and we'll book a call and we'll just talk about whatever you want to talk about.
That's awesome. Guys, if you are curious, if you're going through any of the stuff Austin has kind of described either in detail or briefly here, and you want to pick his brain and it's going to help you just to know that you're not the only one going through something like that, definitely recommend reaching out to him. Thank you so much for that.
Let me give a quote because this is something your community actually did it, and I made the joke. One of my favorite Jim Rome quotes is, you know what the top 1% does that others don't do? They ask.
They do it? They ask.
They ask. So if you are on the fence and you're saying, no, I can't, blah, 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 there's no strings attached. I'm going to light you up for 15 minutes. You're going to walk out of that call. You're going to go run 10 miles, and we're going to start a new path. So if you've been thinking about it and you're sitting on the sidelines, just send the email.
Yeah, I love that. Can I touch on one last thing before we wrap up?
Of course.
So you talked about how, like, one of the things you hate about real estate, and I kind of like mentioned, like, well, it's a lot of things these days, is how it's being looked at as like the silver bullet, the solution to, like, chilling on the beach almost. Like, it is this thing that you're going to do and the passive income's going to take care of all your needs type of thing. It was actually I think it was on the last podcast, I was saying, like, technically I hit my financial freedom number from like 8 years ago, but like, it's not the same thing anymore.
Yeah.
And so, and I think that, that's why we actually changed a lot of how we do our education at ADPI from from even like, let's call it the marketing perspective. I feel like there's these deep rooted aspects of marketing that deal with, because I'm obsessed with also the right people finding the right thing. It's kind of like when you start finding out about YouTube and you're like, oh, I can make the best video in the world, but if I don't have a good thumbnail, nobody's going to click on it and it's pointless. Right. So I need to make sure that like our education at ADPI is properly positioned. So like, and what we realized is that it's not so much, it used to be like, oh, is it long-term rentals, single family homes? Is it short-term rentals, or is it commercial real estate? But I realized that to somebody, especially who's new, that doesn't mean anything. There's different asset classes that don't mean anything. So when we started reframing it was like, okay, well, we have to position. It's kind of like you can have soda water or tonic water. It's basically the same thing, but they're sold in completely different reasons because they're positioned differently. One's for alcohol, one's for like whatever. And so now we have like exactly what you were saying, like the Cliff Notes version of real estate, like buy a house, as long as you're not underwater over time, it's going to do awesome for you. Right. So, and keep doing that as much as you can. And so that is one part of our community now. So now we're like, okay, what is the intent? Do you want to do this as maybe not your primary thing? I'm not calling it a hobby. I don't know what the right word is, but it's like, you're not all in on it. Let's put it that way. It's just the thing that you want to use as a tool to retire better whenever that time comes, grow wealthier, maybe pad some additional income in your life, but it's not the thing you're relying on for your livelihood, but it is something that's going to accelerate and make you also downstream effects for generations much better. Then we have that, right? We call it our like residential program, but really we're focusing that like everything from VA loans to like, hey, I want a house hack. Hey, I want to buy a turnkey property. Hey, I want to do my first BRRRR or even a short-term rental. There's that program. And then we focus on the other one where it's like, no, these are for the people that are all in. Like, especially, and this is important because you mentioned identity for the military. This is like the identity shifter. Like, do you want to go all in on real estate? Even while you're still in the military or after? And it could be wholesaling, it could be BRRRRs, it could be flips, it could be Airbnb, but we chose commercial multifamily, like apartment complexes to be the thing for us. Like that is, the asset class had to be decoupled or separated from the intent. The intent is, this is your all in thing. The asset class we chose to couple that with is commercial multifamily because there's more way, like you get acquisition fees from your investors. It's kind of like being a real estate agent. So it can be a profitable active business and create passive kind of like.
Do you want to know why you actually
wealth.
did it? Like I'm going into branding mode here and thinking separately.
Yeah.
Also something amazing, kind of the crutch of the value proposition of your community. It allows others in your vision.
Right.
Flipping, single rentals, Airbnb is more of a soul man's game. This is providing community and allowing other people to fit inside your vision. So it wasn't done probably consciously, but it matches the value proposition of the group on a bigger scale.
Well, that's the crux of community these days.
It's a team. Yeah, it's a team.
Well, yes, commercial. Well, actually, that's how we built the entire program. Is we focus on you and the team first. So I appreciate you remembering that. It's exactly how it's built.
Yeah.
But then also you were mentioning the RV parks and talking about helping somebody move a couch. Like that is the physical aspect of human community. And so I was just talking to our COO the other day. I was like, our mission right now is obviously like impacting 3 million military families in the next 10 years. But how we're going to do that is bringing physical and the digital communities together. Like they have to be one and the same because there's too many communities out there.
Too many.
People are getting community fatigue. There's only so many apps you can put in your phone, so many communities you check in with, so many social media platforms you check in with. So for us, we're focusing on like, that's why we're doing our conference again this year. It's going to be the 4th annual one. Like people need to see each other physically go to meetups. Like we need, this cannot just be a digital community. And so, anyway, wow, it's been an amazing conversation with you, Austin. I really appreciate you. Really appreciate your time. I got a lot of value out of this. I think I wasn't expecting after half a dozen episodes I've recorded so far on this relaunch of our podcast to get as much value from these conversations. But you've definitely been a highlight. So thank you so much. Do you have any last things you want to make sure you mention before we get off?
I think that one of my favorite things to think about, kind of a mind melter, is that your goals only can be written of the past way that you view yourself. So the goals that you're writing today is only the way that you viewed yourself in the past. But if you show up as the best version of yourself and your values, then every opportunity is available in front of you.
So what I'm gathering from that is for our listeners.
Meaning that we write goals and we want to strive to them, but those are still too small because it's assuming that you're still where you stand. But if you show up in the identity of the value that you believe in and who you are as a person, I'm a person that seeks opportunity, health, I'm a networker, I add value to others, then you have no idea what business partner opportunity will come down in front of you.
I love that. And I think that that is one of the things our military community has to truly, because even though, people might think the military has like an ego and super high confidence and all that kind of stuff, but I do think that having the confidence to set big goals for the best version of yourself is something that the military community can definitely get better at. And I think that the knock-on effects of having really big goals is that you start attracting the best types of people around you, because A players are not inspired by small things.
Yep.
And it's so much the who, not how in real estate or in any kind of business, and having A players around you, that's a huge, huge thing for me these days. So I love that.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Austin.
Thank you.
Again, yeah, guys, remember, email ajlinney@gmail.com. Check out his podcast called Construct Your Life. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And gosh, again, can't thank you enough. Everybody, please do the typical thing. Like, subscribe, share wherever you can. We are on a mission to impact 3 million military families in the next 10 years. We would love for you to join our mission to bring this digital and real community together and to really help the military find their identity, find a way to fulfill themselves and make more income than they ever thought possible and achieve their goals. So thanks, Austin, for being a part of that mission. Everybody, see you later. Bye.
Bye.